Fed rate cuts won't save the housing market, and home prices are nosediving. And the CEO of Walmart is warning, a dire warning, that deflation is coming soon. And that is only going to get worse. Meanwhile, home inventory is surging everywhere. And mortgage interest rates are still extremely high for most home buyers. And yet, most home buyers are crippled with debt. They're drowning in debt. They're maxed to their capacity in debt. And yet, there's an easy button. You can buy now and pay later. And the system is rigged. It's not fair. These credit card companies are getting away with murder because they're getting around the Truth in Lending Act, and they're taxing you something close to 30% for the option to buy now and pay later. And chances are you don't even know you're getting taxed 30%. And to put those into really simple terms, that means your 10 grand in debt is going to be 20 grand of debt next year, or something damn close to it. And while all this is happening, the auto market is imploding, car repossessions are through the roof, and the truth is, Jerome Powell can't save us. And at the end of the day, the only people that are going to be holding the bag are probably the people who couldn't afford to buy a home in the first place. And while DeSantis and Newsom are playing the who's is bigger contest, as it relates to the number of people moving out of the state, and although the latest breaking news is that the surcharge risk has dropped significantly for Citizens Insurance customers next year, but the reality is, the Florida home insurance nightmare continues. If you look under the hood on that, what you'll see, they are simply pulling an Enron and playing games with their numbers. But the numbers don't lie, and if we get hit with the devastating storm, Florida homeowners are in big trouble. But Florida homeowners are already in big trouble. And homeowners in Naples, Immokalee, and the Marco Island Metro got whacked too. The average sold price is down 11.5%, double-digit whammy. And the month supply of inventory is skyrocketing, up 44% to 5.5 months, which is a buyer's market, if anybody can afford to buy a home there. And yet, foreclosures in this metro decreased 100%. There were 0 foreclosures in this market. And if you believe that number, I would encourage you to please check out the county auction site, because foreclosures are not hitting the market, they're being gobbled up by institutions. And unlike during the last crash when you could go to a county auction and there were real bidders in a room that were bidding for a home on fire sale, today everything is done digitally and the institutions can buy everything with the push of a button. And if you've been watching for a while, you know that I've said I don't believe this crash will be similar to the last crash when it comes to foreclosures, because I don't think they'll ever see the light of day. Because the institutions really do not want you to own anything. They want you to rent from them forever. Own nothing and be happy. And the beatings will continue until morale improves. And homeowner morale is definitely not improving in Port St. Lucie. And Sarasota took it on the chin. Northport, Sarasota, Bradenton Metro, the median sales price got whacked by 10%. And the average sales price took it on the chin too, to the tune of damn near 4%. And the month supply of homes sitting on the market unsold upticked 44%. Wait till you see November numbers. And yet, almost every other market in October was on the uptick significantly. And Palm Beach isn't escaping the nosedive either, with a new renovated mansion. Took it on the chin too. The price was slashed by 30.5 million. Even the affluent are suffering. And if you've been watching for a while, you know what I think is going to happen or what should happen, but I want you to know what they think. And I definitely want you to know exactly what they're teaching their kids. I'm here with my friend Sandy, and I wanted to ask a few questions about really just the real estate market, the housing market, maybe a little bit about your views on, well, we'll just roll with it, see how it goes, okay? All right, so my number one question that I'm asking people is, what are you teaching your children about money that your parents didn't teach you?
Invest early and invest in real estate.
Nice.
And I mean, that's just because I've been in real estate forever, but yeah, it is a proven wealth building fact of life. The earlier you can purchase, the more wealth you have, like especially if you have children. A rule of thumb that I talk about with my clients is when your child's born, purchase the duplex. by the time they're in school, that's their education.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Now, that being said, what are your thoughts about some of the broader economic trends that are out there? For example, inflation has skyrocketed, prices have skyrocketed. Are you at all concerned about the future of the housing market, near term or long term?
Zero. And here's why. Right now in our country, well, in the world, but especially in our country, the baby boomers who possess 1/7 of the world's population, or excuse me, the world's wealth, it's all being transferred right now. So most of our deals are cash. So I feel like right now, no matter if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, it's always somebody's market, right? Real estate keeps happening no matter what happens. It's called life. So from that standpoint, I think the game goes on no matter what. And right now, I feel like with all of the wealth that's in the world, the next 7 to 10 years are pretty solid. After that, we'll have to reevaluate. But I mean, I see it in my everyday. I see it every day.
Right.
So that's how I feel about that. I'm not worried. I mean, I don't feel like there's a reason to worry unless you're a person that likes to worry.
Actually, I love that. So invest early, invest often. Don't get so caught up in the headline news.
Because it's always somebody's market. If it's not a buyer's market, it's a seller's market. And there's always opportunity.
Yeah.
So like right now, where's the opportunity in the market? The opportunities for the cash buyer.
Absolutely. Well, you said something that I say all the time, that it's always a good market for someone.
Right.
There's no such thing as a bad market. And from a real estate perspective, as an agent, as a broker, you just pivot to whomever it's best for, and your business always grows.
Always be learning, always be educating, and just be aware of where the market's at so you can move correctly and advise correctly.
I'm out here with my friend Amira, and I'm asking real estate professionals questions, and so I was hoping that you'd answer some for me.
Absolutely.
If you could teach the world one thing about money, what would it be?
If I could teach the world one thing about money.
One thing about money that your parents didn't teach to you. If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Money is not evil, and money is not bad. I grew up in not great situations, and that was always the thing that I was taught, is that money is the root to all evil, when money provides so many opportunities to people. And that's something that the mindset that I had to get out of as well. Coming like, oh, well, poverty is because of the government, poverty is because of all of these things, when really we have the right to create our own happiness. In my personal beliefs, regardless of where you come from, and regardless of what you look like. I literally have purple hair, and I'm a top producer in my town. And
I love that.
I do. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
And like being authentically you, like I came from nothing, and now I provide so much value to so many different people, and I am my authentic self. I dress how I want, I look like how I want, and I talk how I want. And money has provided me so many opportunities. I mean, at 25, I have a duplex, and I rent. Nice. I have no mortgage payment, and I live in an almost $700,000 house.
That's fantastic.
And I get to provide value to people too. Like I rent out to more like difficult situations, like people who may not have as good a credit, and people can call me a shitty business owner for that. That's fine.
Right.
But those people have been my best tenants, and because I provided them value. And now one of my tenants ended up getting like a $3 million settlement, and he's investing. He's a contractor, and now we're going to invest in properties together. And so provide value and give people opportunities that you might just kind of throw to the side. Give them opportunities, and money absolutely is not the root to all evil.
Well, I think in the process, you're also inspiring a whole hell of a
100%.
lot of people. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I was homeless, a year before I bought my house.
Wow.
When I was 19. So it's absolutely possible.
You've come a long way. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
Wow, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation. Okay, let me ask you this. Given the broader economic trends that are happening right now with inflation and the rising cost of really everything, real estate specifically, what do you think the impact of that, or what do you think the changes, or how will those changes impact the real estate market moving forward?
In regard to higher interest rates?
Or inflation?
Okay. Well,
you can answer however you want.
Okay. I'm going to go in regard to interest rates, because I work with a lot of first-time home buyers or people that are maybe moving up to their second property. And I always tell my clients, you can always refinance. Rates are always going to fluctuate, but you can't, refinance $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 you paid over asking. Because I got into the market in July of 2021, and my clients were offering $50,000 appraisal gaps, and they were first-time home buyers as well. I'm from Spokane, Washington, and we were number 3 in the entire nation for growth. And so I always tell them, I'm like, my clients, 2 years ago, were paying $40,000, $50,000 appraisal gaps, and they were paying $100,000 over asking with 10 offers. And we were beating those 10 offers, which was a huge win. But if you have the opportunity to buy now, like I will be buying properties now. that is just what it is. Because I will take a higher payment in order to not spend an extra $100,000 because, and it's historically proven around election time, that interest rates will decrease. So we will see. Obviously, we're not fortune tellers, but my biggest advice is to buy in a down market.
So I'm out here with my friend Nolly Williams, and I wanted to ask you, because you have far more experience in the housing market and the real estate market than I do, but I'm curious, what do you see out there in terms of just the general public? I mean, there seems to be a lot of fear around the housing market right now. I was wondering what you see and if you wouldn't mind sharing.
I'll be honest, Chris, a lot of the fear is really stemming from opinions. You know, a lot of people are listening to opinions out there, what this person's saying, what might happen, what could happen. And I think there is a place for that. You know, there is somewhat of a place for that. But in reality, when you look at all the data, you've got to make the best decision for your family and for you during this time. So I got to be honest with you and say that I've never really purchased or sold based on market conditions. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I've always made, because I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 12 and I've been a full-time entrepreneur for 30 years, I've always made it about what's best for my family at this time in our life. You know what I'm saying? Because whatever I felt like I could gain or minus, I could always make up on a refi if I need to refi later. My first house, I was saying I bought it at 12% interest rate, you know, and we refied it later. Yeah. But it was the best decision at the time.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that back in the early 80s, interest rates, I think my parents were in at like 17% or something like that.
Which is crazy right now because of the home prices too,
100%.
Yeah.
But I talk about this all the time. It has nothing to do whether the market is right. It has to, when making a decision like this, it's when it's right for you.
That's right.
Period. And that's it.
Because anything that you could perceive to lose, you can always make up in so many other ways. And there's nothing that really trumps peace of mind. Like when I make moves, it's like, okay, this is going to be a kind of a slower 6 weeks in my business. So it's the best time for me to make the move. And even if I might spend a little bit more money, what I would lose by making it at a busy time in my business it's a wash.
Yeah.
It's a wash.
So let me ask you this, in terms of inflation, unaffordability, I mean, right now it's the highest, it's the most expensive time to be a human being ever. Yeah. Do you have any concerns or projections? Let's go with that. In terms of housing market projections, what do you think the next year looks like?
I really believe the next year is going to look not good. You know, I mean, in terms of what people would say is good. I think though it'll be good in terms of opportunity because it'll be a chance for people to get into the game. I think there's going to be a lot of creative ways to buy property, creative financing and things like that will really trump a lot of other things that you could do. But I really think, so here's my honest perspective of when the market's bad, when the market's good, you can really, there's a lot of opportunity.
Well, let me jump in here. Yeah. One thing I always say, and I know you know this is true, there's no such thing as a bad market. It's always good for someone. Yeah. And our job as professionals is to pivot to whomever it's best for.
That's
but so I don't believe in any such thing as a bad market from a real estate perspective, but from the consumer side, well, then it's when it's 100% based on when it is right for them.
Well, and when the narrative is like, hey, the market is bad right now, I'll just tell you from my experience being a creative person, when the market was bad, I always made twice as much as when the market was good. So it really is how you take that market, you know, and all the real players that all the affluent have made most of their money when the market was what people call bad. There is really no such thing as a bad market. Yeah. And when you look at it from a standpoint of perspective, you know that to be true.
Sure.
You know, even in the 80s when the market was bad, those homes, look at what they're worth now, or if you held on to it for any amount of time. So I'm with you 100%.
Let me ask you this. If you could teach the world one thing about money that your parents didn't teach to you, what would that be?
Wow, there's so many things about money.
Actually, my arm's going numb.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, there's so many things about money that I could talk about. Really, the biggest thing I would talk about is how to generate wealth, how to generate future wealth. And as an entrepreneur or as a business owner, business leader, that's what I would really teach: literacy, financial literacy. Not only how to make money, but how to keep it as well. I think we should learn more about inflation and how that works, the increase of the money supply, how that affects everything. really, when you think about it, markets are not, they don't just pop up, they're manipulated. You know, the market, I mean, and I'm not saying that in a bad sense, but somebody's pulling the strings to create the market that we have for other reasons that are important to them. And so when you just learn how to play the game, no matter what the market is, you win, you succeed.
You play to win the game. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
So I'm here with Pace Morby, and I wanted to ask you a question. What are you teaching your children about money that your parents didn't teach to you?
Okay, the number one thing I'm doing is I'm paying my kids through retirement for me to get a tax write-off. And then what I'm teaching my kids to do is invest in affordable housing. And their goal is not to invest, their goal is to help other families get off the street. So my kids are investing in affordable housing to get families off the street through a charity called Family Promise. So now my kids can equate real estate to helping people because we end up meeting those families, and my kids now get excited about the kids they're gonna meet and, you know, all of those types of things. They don't get bored by real estate, they get excited about the families that we're gonna help.
And we're gonna help a whole lot of people.
Yes.
I love it.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.